Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our Barclay Jones webinar, and thank you for attending and giving up some of your precious time this afternoon. We shouldn't be taking it any longer than about 30 minutes, so strap yourself in and turn your listening skills on. Turn them up to 10, maybe even 11 if you've got that sort of dial. Today's webinar is looking at some of the challenges facing temporary recruiters and introducing you to a new system that might help you speed up process, stay compliant and cut costs. If you have any questions, feel free to ask during the webinar using the question facility or the chat facility that you've all just used. If we can answer during the webinar, then we will do. Alternatively, there will be an opportunity to answer questions right at the end of the session as well. Participation is expected. It's not a luxury. There will be some polls as we go through the webinar, and also some questions that I'm going to ask you to basically do as you've just done by your chat facility. So, very quickly, just to confirm that everything is working, can you tell me if you're still doing dry January? Who's done it? Who's succeeded? Who's looking forward to their first drink in February? I've got some clients who are calling it Drunk February. Looks like none of you are doing dry January. Oh no, day 26. Well done. Somebody's doing it under day 26, which is fantastic. Okay, my name is Wayne Barclay. Thank you very much for your time. I work for Barclay Jones. We're a recruitment and digital marketing training technology company. We work with recruitment companies across the UK and the world to improve recruiter effectiveness through simplifying and speeding up processes, improving sourcing and leads and opportunities and working with recruiters on that. And basically getting recruiters to use their systems better. We also source and help clients project manage technology into their organization. If you need help with any of these sorts of things, please feel free to type Barclay Jones or BJ in the chat facility and we'll get in contact with you at a later date. So, first poll. Here is the first poll. I'm going to launch the first poll. If you've used polls previously, then you'll understand what I'm asking you here. What type of recruitment do you typically do? Are you temporary recruiters? Are you contract? Are you perm? Are you interim, etc., etc.? Okay. Oh, we've got an interesting split. Ooh. Okay, a couple more seconds. Here we go. I'm going to close the poll now, and interestingly we've got a good split there. We've got 50% of you all being temporary recruiters, 25% of you being contract, and about 25% of you being perm recruiters. So it's going to be an interesting discussion today. Okay. So next question I've got is going to be what type of industry do you work in? Temporary recruitment is very specific to the sorts of industries that we work in. So I'm going to very quickly, and this will be the last poll that we do today pretty much. What type of industry? Are you very niche recruiters? Do you work in a very niche market whereby temporary and high volume is really, really important? Okay, we've got about 75% of you voted. Any others? Oh, 90%? We're pretty much there for 100%. Brilliant. So, interesting bag there. We've got a mixture of people, just over half of you working in industrial, medical and education, which typically are pretty high volume environments. Okay, why are you here? One of the themes for the start of this year has been helping recruitment leaders to stop doing something they've always done. For example, we've got some clients who are basically wanting their recruiters to stop creating bad adverts. We want the marketing department to stop sending out confusing brand messages. Or alternatively, stop allowing their users to think that CRM is an optional tool and not a necessity. So using your chat facility, it'll be great to hear just very quickly what you would like to stop doing in 2017. Okay, some interesting stats coming through. Stop recruiters using, or start getting consultants using their CRM seems to be a common occurrence. Stop being ineffective. stop my recruiters being ineffective and manage my workers better. That's a really good comment, and that's a really good job that you're on this webinar, which kind of leads me nicely, I suppose. Get better with tech, yeah, exactly. It leads me nicely on to introducing our two people today, Benjamin Rubin and Joshua Pines. Thanks for agreeing to come and talk to us today about Sirenum and your business. How are you both doing?
Hey, we're great. We're great. Thanks so much for having us, Wayne.
Fantastic.
Love being here. Definitely.
You're based in London, so Sirenum's a UK-based business, but obviously global reach.
That's right. We're based in London. We've got clients all over the UK, in the States, and on the continent as well.
Brilliant. So what's the story behind Sirenum? How did Sirenum come into being? What's your background?
Sure. So this is Josh, by the way, that people identify the voice. I like to tell the story about how I came to Sirenum, which leads very nicely to Benjamin telling the story about how Sirenum came to be, and hopefully you'll understand why. Before joining Sirenum, I had spent the better part of the last 20 years in enterprise software and strategy consulting, including about almost 4.5 years at a company called Metadata, which is a cloud software business that's drastically and dramatically transformed the life science industry. And what really struck me when I first met Benjamin and learned about Sirenum and learned more about the temp side of the business, I had put in some time on the perm side earlier in my career, was really how similar the potential impact would be on the staffing industry, how ripe the industry was for transformation, and really where the technology had come, as opposed to even just a few years ago where it was. And what's really fun for us is it's not just for the rich and famous agencies, but also for small and medium-sized organizations as well. Like I said, a big reason is the technology, but also kind of where the staffing industry and the overall labor force is today, as opposed to even just 5, 6 years ago. And Benjamin talked a little bit about how he came to this place as well.
Right. So yeah, we met Josh, and it was a perfect match. But my story with recruitment and temp actually starts back in 2008 when I joined to lead a temp agency in the railway space.
Okay.
And it was a great agency. It was making good margins, good profit, good client base, very stable, working very hard, but seeing good rewards. The problem was that in 2009, with the financial crisis, hit us very hard. And I found myself working 12 hours a day just to keep the lights on. And I just realized the business model doesn't work for us anymore. Clients want more. It's getting more and more expensive to deliver warm bodies. Delivering warm bodies was not an option anymore. And if I wanted to maintain the profitability, the margins, and the volume, I had to be competitive.
Yeah.
Working so hard just to keep the lights on, I didn't have much time to think about it, but I was very, very lucky. My flatmate from uni is this math genius.
Yeah.
So I asked him to join me and help me solve the problem with technology. And together we started building an application that was built for temp agencies until eventually we tendered for the Olympic, and I think that leads us to the next slide.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So in 2011, we were invited to tender for the London Olympics, supplying all the box office sellers around the UK. And we were competing with Randstad on that. Now, you can imagine, maybe some of the audience running a SME recruitment agency against Randstad. You have to be original. You have to come up with better ways of doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And we got a contract. We won the contract. We could be dynamic because we were able to be agile, provide more people, less people, not just warm bodies. Full service, sign SLAs on coverage rate, fill rate, and Randstad couldn't or wouldn't. When we got the tender results back, we were astonished to discover we won on the level of technology we have. Mm-hmm. And that was that was actually the point where I realized that our vision of transforming the recruitment industry, transforming the temp industry by implementing new technologies is working.
Brilliant.
And that was the point where I decided to quit my business and basically set up a software business to help other businesses like me that didn't have the good fortune of having a math genius joining them do this transformation.
Yeah. So you mentioned in terms of the requirement for the technology and temp recruiters, and there not being a great deal out there, so therefore you really saw a gap in the market to really help drive efficiency. Would you say then one of your, when we've talked previously, you've mentioned one of your missions is to really transform the way agencies manage their temporary workers. Do you see a real shift and change in the way in which potentially recruitment is coming over the coming years?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we started, it was we were a bit leading the market, but now we're finding that more and more agencies are realizing that the warm body model is not sustainable. They need to deliver more service. Margins are eroded on one hand. On the other hand, the complexity is increasing, and we're now seeing we've managed to already sign up half of the world's biggest recruitment agencies. We got Blue Arrow signed up, we got Randstad signed up, we got others, and we think the same thing with all of them, including with more smaller agencies that realize that they can't continue. The increasing volume of business is just not enough to maintain profitability.
Yeah.
And they are looking for technological solutions in order to remain relevant and competitive in the market.
Okay. Does in terms of the recruitment universe then, because when we've sat down and we've discussed recruitment at length, in terms of the actual where Sirenum sit within the recruitment universe, you've got a fairly good idea as to where it's specifically where you're targeting your product and your system. Is that right?
Yeah, we know where we bring the best value, right? So if we look at the recruitment world, and we call everything recruitment, but I understand the audience is evenly split between perm and temp, and we know that the two worlds share some similarities, but there are some distinct differences. And within the temp world, between contractors and general staff, also there's a very big, even dramatic, I would say, difference. With contractors, we spend as recruiters most of our time finding the right candidates and matching the candidates to the hires, the hiring manager. And after that, we are busy with chasing the timesheets they have, getting the invoices out, maybe collecting expenses and dealing with day-to-day issues. With general staffing, like high volume short term, that could be a catering recruitment business, or a very high volume but repeating, rotating schedules in light industrial, and in ad hoc, which would be education. I see from the survey we have several education where you need to get somebody really, really quick on your book. A lot of our effort is actually managing the candidates we've already recruited.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I have clients who basically, or we've coined the term recycling our candidates, and it's something that recruitment companies are really, really poor at. They're so focused on sourcing candidates, when actually when you look at their database, actually, in instances, 70% of the candidates that get added to a database are actually updates to a database. So therefore, recycling your existing candidates and understanding their availability is far more productive and far more profitable than actually just focusing on constantly sourcing new candidates.
Yeah, Wayne, and I would add to that we hear regularly from our clients, and I bet the people who are on the line who are focused on the perm side would agree that, as you look at overall businesses that have both perm and temp side, the role of temp has increased, in particular around the general staff model.
Yeah.
The significance towards contributing to their bottom line has gone up, and the complexity. I think we're gonna move in that direction after we've got a question coming up.
Yeah, I've got a question coming up. So you mentioned some really good comments there. For everyone who's listening, I'd like to think about in your own businesses what you perceive that the biggest challenges are going to be over the next 2, 3, 4 years in recruitment. If you've got some ideas, just drop those into the chat box whilst we continue to talk around that. Lots of people basically saying poor recruitment workflow. Workflow is obviously a big area whereby people see a lot of challenges and changes whereby they see inefficiency within their current workflows. What else have we got? Keeping on top of talent pools. We've just mentioned that previously. It's a great one, basically making sure that people are really focused in and around reusing. IR35, the new legislation that's due to come up. Who knows what will happen after Brexit and how that will change. And shrinking margins. Yeah, it's a really good point. There are more and more businesses, a lot more competitors, and to a certain degree, more clients are looking at their costs. Certainly in the education sector as well, whereby margins are tight, budgets are being reduced at a central level. Okay, some really good questions there. Well, we've talked previously as well. We've talked about you've coined the term dynamic workforce. Do you want to give us sort of an indication as to what you're talking about and how that sort of reflects on the Sirenum sort of product?
Yeah, so dynamic workforce is one of those, I guess, two-way terms, Wayne. So the dynamic workforce is really, hourly workers throughout the labor force, particularly in the Western world. That's the fastest growing part of the workforce. And it's the one that the challenge of managing continues to grow. Yeah. But a business that manages a dynamic workforce is much more agile, dynamic in itself, and at the end of the day, more profitable. So, I think everybody who's worked in temp knows the phrase right person, right place, right time, and right pay if you're touching operations. But as we think of this dynamic workforce, the challenge of people working multiple roles, multiple locations, variable shift patterns, and really those top two boxes, the changes in remuneration for any number of reasons, plus the increasing regulatory compliance, and you start to really appreciate how complexity and costs are going up and margins are shrinking, as one of the listeners mentioned. Yeah. So we're at this really interesting moment for the industry where the innovative, forward-thinking agencies are getting ahead of this challenge. Looking to obviously technology and process to help with that, and that's where Sirenum hopes to fit in. It's
an interesting area as well, certainly from a workflow perspective and keeping on top of your candidates with the advent of technology over the past, let's say, 10 years, with the advent of the mobile telephone. That has significantly changed the way in which the marketplace and candidates are working with recruiters. I'm going to go back to the 70s. One of my clients who used to work in the 70s has a great analogy whereby in order to be able to speak to a candidate about a job, he would have to send a letter or post it through the candidate's post box or front door, asking him to go and be at a particular phone box at a certain time so that he could phone that phone box and speak to the candidate about a job. And now this dynamic workforce, this change in behavior, which is we're always on and we're always looking and we're always wanting instant responses as well. And certainly recruiters need to be aware of that and sort of work with those requirements as well.
But you know what, Wayne, and I love that anecdote, but we come across our clients and many of our prospects, they're still doing things that aren't that different from those kind of processes.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. Relying on sort of silly workarounds because they aren't availing themselves to the technological advances. And it's not just the mobile phone, although obviously on the worker side that's a big part of it. Yeah. But the impact of the cloud really is a great sort of democratizer in terms of availing fantastic technology to small businesses and large businesses wherever they want to touch and use that technology. So that intersection of revisiting those processes with adopting these technologies, big data, mobile, the cloud, etc., is where we're seeing that key intersection and key opportunities for innovation.
Okay. So in terms of then workflow and that dynamic workforce, shall I show the next slide? Does this give an indication of how things change when you use your system?
Yeah, what's interesting about this is, and I think most people who've worked in any workforce management type business, and obviously staffing is a big part of it. Actually, if we just go back and show the linear, you just click back to linear. Yeah. This is a historical process and the technology that maps to the process that we see in most businesses that manage people, not just staffing, but of course the recruitment world is kind of the epitome of it. Yeah. It's linear, it's siloed, and it's incapable of doing certain aspects out of the function or out of this existing workflow. Compliance is a perfect example. You see a lot of staffing businesses who merely put together a monthly report of all their compliance errors or violations.
Yeah.
And sort of sheepishly submit that after the fact because there's no way to measure it on an ongoing basis. Now, if you click the animation, what's really changed about the way Sirenum is built and the way we view the industry, and a big part of that is because of Benjamin's experience managing the staffing agency you mentioned before, is putting scheduling at the heart, being able to plug into processes and technology for the other key steps, availing an analytics and compliance throughout. You really shift the paradigm around the way you manage workers in this dynamic environment.
So I was going to say it's certainly a lot more dynamic. I used the previous phrase, but it's certainly based around using your scheduling system, but using that to help drive the other aspects of the recruitment lifecycle instead of the linear process that most recruiters go through, and it moves from one team to the next team essentially.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's the underlying basis for how we built Sirenum. You can see some screenshots of some of our capabilities or aspects of our product here, whether it's the mobile app, our financial invoicing and gross pay engine, the monitoring, and of course the scheduling in the bottom right. So we've built a very broad platform that plugs into existing technology, but also leverages our own, takes advantage of some of the things we're talking about, and this sort of paradigmatic shift that I just mentioned.
Yeah.
I want to add to that, Wayne. So how do we see in this slide the impact of the architecture?
Yeah.
So if we look at the scheduling with the blue circle there, and there's a small arrow pointing to a green box, we can't read the value, but that will be the value of the fatigue index as required by the HSE for mission-critical workers. Now, you can see basically two layers of information. You see the compliance built into the scheduling, and you see on the map above picture of a map with different dots and different colors, which signify where are the candidates in real time compared to where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And in such way, you can reduce the no-shows and increase your fill rate. And looking at the mobile app, which is the top left box, the workers can put in when they want to work each day, which again will fit into the scheduler saying should they work or they've asked to be off, so please don't schedule them. So everything is connected, and that's reflection of our architecture.
Yeah, absolutely. When you showed me the app, or when your King showed me the app a little while ago, what I was taken by is this scheduling system, and the fact that all the information is in there, but there's also this extra layer of data which recruiters sometimes have to jump around different systems to be able to find. It's kind of all within your system. It's all kind of within touching distance and visible very, very quickly. And I really like the idea of the colors and the ability to move things around in a click and drag environment, which many systems don't have that flexibility and that layer of dynamicism, I suppose.
Absolutely. I'm glad you like it. Yeah.
Talk to me about then what are the impacts on a dynamic workforce? So Sirenum obviously is trying to overcome a number of potential problems. Talk to me about what the benefits are and sort of the impacts of what a dynamic workforce can do and where Sirenum can help fix that.
Sure. So most of us, when we're thinking about how we're going to make our business grow, we think about how we're going to sell more. And Sirenum helps increase sales in temp business. What the best way to impact sales would be A, to increase your fill rate, and B, to increase purchasing, make more clients buy.
Yeah.
To increase your fill rate, you want to basically, you need to know who's not going to show up. Now that's a problem currently, right? Because you don't know who's not going to show up until they didn't show up.
Yeah.
And then it's too late. It's already a no-show. So, for example, by leveraging mobile technologies, we are able to give the consultant advanced warning about people not showing up, therefore increasing fill rate. We can help with fastest finger on the trigger, with being able to broadcast the job to hundreds of candidates and in milliseconds, etc., etc.
Yeah.
From purchasing point of view, and I think you can go down and talk about how dynamic workforce management helps businesses actually improve their profitability and what's the impact on the market. I'm going to talk about what's the impact on the market from point of view. But from the agency point of view, we're talking about increasing your sales and decreasing your cost. Improving your fill rate, increasing your sales, and making it easier for clients to buy. They can simply buy online through our client portals. They can buy, they can simplify the invoicing process. And that's in line in changes which are macro changes in the industry. Clients are becoming more sophisticated. They are used to buy things like through Amazon, right? So once you would have to go out of your house, drive to the supermarket, and compare a few supermarkets and finally buy what you want. Today you go to Amazon, few clicks, and you buy. In the recruitment world, it's the same. People want to buy easy. They want it to make it easy. They want to go on their laptop. They want to do it at 2 a.m. in the morning when they're doing their night shift with their hiring manager. They want to be able to make an order from you. And that's what we envision. That's the impact on dynamic workforce and the industry, and that's what Sirenum is trying to address.
Yeah.
However, 80% of the benefits we bring is reducing the cost of delivering the service. And that's again because the dynamic workforce is not restricted to the recruitment agency world. It's in general, hires want to have the flexibility to bring the workers, to bring the candidates when they need them, rather than just predict how many people they need and they may be overstaffed or understaffed. And that means we as recruiters, as consultants, have to be very, very flexible. We need to be able to find people really quick, send them, dispatch them really quick, but not compromise on the compliance, on the remuneration, on invoicing, and all of those things. And that means we work much harder. The interesting thing is that most of our clients were not aware before they implemented the system that 80% of the benefit the system gives is from reducing those costs.
Yeah.
So if we throw out numbers and we say that about 10,000 strong agency with 10,000 candidates working every week, we expect, it's staggering numbers. We're talking about over £2 million in savings just on reducing the cost of simplifying the processes for consultants, rather than just improving sales. And that's a dramatic difference from the way we were thinking before.
Fantastic. So basically implementing the system, clients have experienced significantly lower operational costs, as well as seeing increased and improved fill rates, which will make some people that are on this webinar very happy. Certainly, there's some of the questions and queries and why they're logging in today. Improving their talent pools, recycling their talent pools. Sirenum can really help with those aspects. What's next for Sirenum? So go on.
I just want to touch on that point of increasing fill rates. Those people asked it, really hit the nail on the head, because increasing your, I call it utilization rates of candidates, is key to increase your profitability. It's often overlooked, and it's something which is very much emphasized in Sirenum. How can we make sure that we use the talent we have on our pool and we stop recruiting new candidates while good candidates just leave us because we didn't give them enough hours in a week? Yeah. Very good point.
Is there any other specific examples that you have whereby improved hours come from any of your existing clients? Any ones that you can say, oh, this has been revolutionary in terms of what they've done, what they've seen?
Yeah, I can name two. I wouldn't want to name the names, but the names will remain with the editor. But we have one agency that managed to win a lot of business because they went around and they promised 99% coverage rate, and they were willing to send SLAs against it. Oh. And that none of their competitors were able to do that. And they could do that with the confidence of having a strong technological engine behind it to make sure that they can deliver on those promises. And they've seen very good rewards for that.
That's a really good. That's a really good marketing point as well. It's a really good message to be able to send, and something interesting to talk about. The fact that you can go into a client and say, we can guarantee 99% coverage rates. Not many people can do that, and not many people can back that up either with some real world statistics.
And you can put your money where your mouth is. You say, if I don't willing to give you a rebate.
Yeah.
And you're willing to do that because you know that you won't be paying rebates because you're going to achieve that goal. The second example is the client that was able to reclaim a full day in efficiencies from their consultant merely less than a month after implementing the system.
Wow.
So that's, the client said that in their 15 years experience in digital transformation, they've never seen any system that gave such a reward so quickly.
Yeah.
And that's just, I want to repeat it, a full day saving per each consultant after less than a month of implementing the system.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Really, really good use of identification of where ROI and where systems can come in and make a significant benefit. Now, you're a young business. There's a world of opportunity out there for you. Obviously, hundreds of, if not thousands, of recruitment companies across the world that you could work with. And obviously you've got a very disruptive system as well. It's going to be quite disruptive to the marketplace and introducing new ways of working, and disruptive from a client perspective as well in terms of implement this system, and you will have to change your business and the way it operates. What's next for Sirenum? Where are you heading into now?
Well, I think this is kind of a combination of current and next, because we've viewed it from the beginning that it's crucial to have to build an ecosystem, including integrations with existing technology. If you think back to that paradigm shift graphic, each one of those boxes represents either existing or new technology with which it's crucial that our platform is tightly integrated and in some cases even unified. So that's a big part of our strategy from the beginning, but obviously as we move towards delivery and expansion across both geographies and different types of agencies, that's a big part of it. Building an ecosystem of services providers like Barclay Jones to help us deliver across agencies of all shapes and sizes and colors is a big part of it. And just in general, our goal is to make the industry more efficient. And we do that, it's crucial to our ability to do that by working closely with these technology partners, whether it's integrations with front-end providers so that the data is most accurate throughout the entire sort of life cycle of a worker, or on the back end with payroll providers, accounting providers, and then of course the services folks like Barclay Jones who help us get training and delivery and project management out to ensure success of the various projects. Brilliant. So it's really crucial for us to establish that paradigm shift through this ecosystem, and so that's a big part of our strategy. A big part of what has made already our existing customer base happy and successful.
Yeah. So obviously, more if people want when people want to speak to you, you'll be able to speak to them about how the system can integrate to a certain degree, or whether or not it's a standalone system, etc., etc. So we'll get those people who are interested to give you a call directly. Anything else you'd like to add? Any other questions?
I would like.
Go on, Ben.
I'd like to. One thing, I was personally as a recruiter, I'm the CEO of a recruitment agency. I was very lucky to just have a good friend at the right time who could help me get off the treadmill and start making progress and grow my business forward. When I met you, Wayne, I was very excited thinking about all the other businesses who don't happen to have a genius math friend, but have you guys to come in and help them move their business forward.
That's very kind of you. Thank you very much there, Ben. Yes, absolutely. Barclay Jones, we exist because recruitment companies are really good at buying technology and not particularly great at implementing it. Or at least if they implement it, they're not very good at getting engagement from their systems. And that's something whereby we can really go in and help those organizations. So has anybody got any specific examples that they would like, or any questions that they'd like to give to Ben and Josh whilst we've got them on the line? Not really, no. Okay. If you'd like more information with regard to Sirenum, please just type in Sirenum into your chat, and we'll obviously forward your details onto them if that's okay with you. In relation to Barclay Jones, well, we have a webinar this week, another webinar on Friday, so a bit of a shameless plug here. It's Bullhorn. So those people who are using Bullhorn, on Friday, 27th of January at 10 a.m. We have 5 features of Bullhorn that you're not using properly. One of our Bullhorn trainers will be really focusing in and around those features that everyone knows are there, but nobody really understands how to use them effectively. So we're running that with Bullhorn. If you have any successful recruitment stories, we'd love to hear from you. If you want to know more about recruitment technology and processes, please type in ROI into the chat box. We would love to hear from you and love to talk to you. We are obviously on our blog. We have a huge wealth of information with regard to recruitment and recruitment technology. Feel free to log in and sign up to our newsletter if necessary. We are clearly a digital marketing company as well, and we love working with recruiters to make their digital marketing more effective. The best way you can start that is by first and foremost following us on our various different streams and seeing what we're talking about and also how we can help you. I'd love to thank you very much for attending. Ben and Josh, thank you very much for your time. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks, Wayne. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day.
Thank you.